Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Paris Secret, an epic and heartbreaking love story set in World War II, by Lily Graham. Narrated by Esther Wane. Chapter 1. The old woman on the train didn't look like the kind of person who had a secret burning darkly deep inside her chest. The kind of secret that twisted itself around the heart, squeezed tighter than a fist, ready to burst. But she did. One that, if she only dared whisper it aloud, would cause more than a few of the strangers around her to gasp, even now, after all these years. Strangers who might never have imagined such a thing, hiding behind the worn face of the woman sitting by the rain-lashed window, clasping a burgundy cashmere shawl to her neck, her fingers red and gnarled and painful in the sudden snap of cold weather. The young don't think about the old that way. They don't see the scars time has left behind, the heartache, the joy. They only see the blank face of old age. Certainly the young woman with dark hair, tired eyes, and a bulging laptop bag bouncing against her hip, who'd offered to help stow the old woman's suitcase in the luggage rack overhead, didn't stop to think of her in that sense. If she thought of her at all, it was merely as someone in need of a helping hand, perhaps, or someone less likely to object to her taking the available seat next to her, where she planned to go over her notes for the talk she would be giving the following day, in relative peace, vowing, as she did every week, that it was time to look for a different job. The old woman's suitcase was cobalt blue and old-fashioned, the kind covered in stickers of faraway places. The young woman swung her glossy hair over her shoulder, setting her teeth while she hefted the suitcase into the available space above their heads, using an elbow for traction as it began to slip, almost regretting her offer of help when the suitcase nearly came crashing down on her head. She muttered a curse, and then cleared her throat when the old woman looked at her with a frown, making an awkward attempt to get up and help. "I've got it. Don't worry," she said, forcing a smile. At last she heaved the case up, wedging it between a large tin of chocolates and a grey duffel bag, and sat down, blowing out her cheeks, which had grown pink from the exertion. "That was heavier than it looked. Don't tell me you're fleeing with the last of the Romanoff jewels." The old woman's green eyes brightened. "Just my memories. They are heavier the older one gets, particularly when you frame them." The young woman laughed, showing very even white teeth. Around them people were still boarding the train from Moscow, glasses fogging in the sudden warmth of the interior, wheeling suitcases behind them, their faces showing the spectrum of excitement and resignation that marked most travellers facing a long train journey ahead of them, with this one coming to its end in Paris. A recorded voice came over the loudspeaker, announcing that the train would be departing in the next few minutes. The young woman settled into her seat, then rubbed her neck, a casualty of the brick-like pillows at the drab hotel they'd put her up in near the Moscow office. She opened her laptop and took out her headphones, which she was planning to use to drown out any distractions while she concentrated on her work. But then she frowned, curious despite her better intentions, as she considered the old woman's words and turned back to her, a question on her lips. "You travel with your photographs?" The woman nodded, and a loose strand of powdery white hair slipped out of the chignon at the nape of her neck, which she tucked behind an ear, her hand shaking slightly. Her nails were filed into rounded ovals, the colour of pearl. There was a faint trace of perfume, floral, pleasant and expensive. "I like to keep the people I have loved close to me, wherever I go." Whatever flippant remark the young woman had intended, along the lines of a suggestion that the old woman consider going digital in future, died before they could leave her mouth, as the older woman's words touched something inside, the barren pain of missing someone you may never see again, all too real since her mother had passed away 2 years before.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?